All right. Thanks so much, Vishal, for spending time with me today. We're going to talk a little bit more about yourself, your company, and kind of what we're seeing in the SONiC community. So for folks that are watching that aren't familiar with you or Aviz Networks, can you give a little bit of background of yourself and the company?
Yes, thank you, Alan, for spending time with us today. My name is Vishal Shukla. I'm co-founder and CEO at Aviz Network. At Aviz, essentially, we are creating a network software stack end to end, which can be explained in two different dimensions. The first one is creating networks for AI, and the second dimension is AI for networks. So let me just quickly explain what does networks for AI mean from our point of view. So essentially, what we look at is creating a vendor-agnostic networks, wherein the AI workloads does not matter they run on data center or they are running on the edge. The networks for that can be created in a vendor-agnostic way. And when I say vendor-agnostic way means you can actually put any hardware and any kind of a NOS running to it, right? So today, we support SONiC, we support Spectrum X, and customers can essentially standardize their operating layer while they can choose the hardware and the infrastructure underneath the network. So essentially, that's the first dimension. We have perfected the recipe for building the networks in a vendor agnostic way with SONiC, and we just announced NVIDIA Spectrum X integration with this operating layer, which we call one. So that's the first part, networks for AI. Then there is a second one, which is AI for networks. So essentially, in every vertical, you see AI is disrupting the way the everyday works happen, and networking is no difference there, right? So what we are looking at is essentially bringing AI as an AI network assistant. We call it Network Copilot, and essentially helping the network engineers to do their mundane and routine job properly, right? So essentially, introducing AI as an assistant and essentially helping them to get efficiency using AI on top of it. So we have products aligned with the second dimension. So
yeah, great. Well, we're going to dive into AI for networking and networking for AI in a little bit. I think it's important how you frame that because they really are very, very different in terms of what they're doing. Yeah, absolutely. You've been really busy. We've been talking for a while, and I've known you for a very long time. But it seems like in 2025, you've come out with a ton of new products. Can we kind of dive into what's been kind of in the kitchen and is now coming out?
Yes. So essentially, if you really look at it, the vision and the mission always has been to create the the network software stack, and we started with SONiC. So of course, in 2023 and 2024, we were busy in creating the recipe for SONiC, which works perfectly and is a perfect vendor agnostic in a way. So 2023 and 24, actually, we perfected that recipe. While the mission was always that we'll have the end-to-end stack. So 2024, towards the end of it, we released network visibility portfolio. So that means that we can now see inside the wires, the application identification and everything like that. And towards the end of 2024, we essentially launched Network Copilot, which essentially is using the data which is coming from this network operating layer, which is once our network telemetry product and the network visibility product. You put them both together, and now you have essentially enough data which can train the AI for everyday networking, right? So that's on the technology side. Of course, a lot of different product has to be made when we talk about end-to-end network software stack, but then also on the business side, right? So business side, one of the way to is essentially put all these products in perspective is to go vertical by vertical, right? So we have seen the adoption of our product set into to start with e-commerce, retail, healthcare, telco, and multiple such verticals. We kind of look at market in 15 different verticals. So we've been busy into basically deploying these products into each different vertical and then essentially replicating it, right? I mean, if you really look at it, SONiC is kind of proven itself already. And now is the point for how you can replicate that proof point into various different verticals. So there are enough examples for the customers to see that yes, it works, right? So we've been busy not only making our products but also proving it into different verticals. So yes, I mean it's been an exciting 3 months so far in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the verticals. I've seen retail kind of take off recently. Have you seen the same thing?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, retail has two portions in it. One is the data center, of course, that kind of aligns with all the protocols and usage which SONiC provides. But then you have Edge, the retail store as such, right? And if you might have noticed, I mean, we launched a group called PENS. It's a PoE Edge networks with SONiC in Linux Foundation community last year. And the whole reason for that was to essentially bring in the features for Edge, which SONiC, primarily didn't have because it was designed for data centers, right? So essentially now we have the features which are required for the Edge. So of course, that's some of the reasons on how this is kind of aligning with the Edge use cases as well.
No, it's a great example. You kind of see the ecosystem playing out there. Let's talk about trends, kind of what's popping up when you're engaging with customers as it relates to SONiC, pain points, etc.
Yeah, so we look at 650 group report. I mean, that's customers also look at it. So the projections are pretty bullish on SONiC, as you might know. I mean, you have published that report. But what we see in the market is that we don't have to explain to customer what is SONiC. In 80% of the cases, customer know what it is, and essentially they understand the goodness which is provide. Oftentimes the question is that how I'm going to use it, right? How it can be enabled, who will support it, right? How I can integrate in my NetOps layer, right? And essentially, it's open source. So if let's say a security bug happens, how it's going to be taken care, right? Now, in past 2 years, we actually have answered these questions and created enough examples so we can actually show it to customers. So all the discussions which happens when we talk SONiC with customers is essentially around these questions which I just mentioned. And there is enough data which we have now to kind of give examples onto how to take care of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about maturity here. How is SONiC more mature now, or the ecosystem more mature now than say 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah. So look, I mean, I'll talk that into 3 different dimensions. The first one is the protocols, which essentially has the gap of the protocols have becoming narrower, over the period of time. IP clause was the first use case, which was running a couple of years back. But then EVP and VXLAN, we have multiple vendors now supporting that. There's still and the Edge, which we have added as Aviz network last year with the PENS group. There are still some protocols which are not there in SONiC, right? But then I like to say that it has enough protocols which can take care of 80% of the customer use cases. So yes, it does not have MPLS and SRv6, but that's purely telco, right? It does not have and when I say it does not have, I'm talking about the community, open source version of it. So it does not have like media and entertainment kind of features, right? But that's fine. I mean, right? I mean, you data center, Edge, and AI fabric. The features required for that is there, and in past 2-3 years, we have seen that not only the protocols came in, but also getting deployed with customers. So that's one thing. The second one is the security. I mean, there has been this question used to come to us that what happens if a CVE comes in? At least, from the OEM point of view, they will provide you the update for that PCert and everything. So that has improved a lot. I mean, I'll give you an example of this OpenSSL issue, which happened last year in July. And we did some research on, when the issue was reported, when it was acknowledged, when it was fixed, and when the update was provided. So one of the OEM I was tracking there is that they basically July 1st when it came in, the fix to the customer was given somewhere around September October timeframe, so around 3-4 months later, right? And then I was looking at SONiC on when that OpenSSL issue was fixed. So it was July 1st. It was it was issued, and in July 26th the fix was available, and the customer it's ready for customers to make a build out of it from July 26th. So you see, I mean, there are 2 reasons, right, for this fastness on the security side is that you have multiple community folks who are working on it, and then it is a microservices based system, so you don't have to kind of do the regression for whole of your code base and everything, and then gives this one security fix, right? You just touch the piece where this fix is required. So that kind of a fastness and the security, the enterprise readiness of SONiC has changed in past 2-3 years. So that's the second thing. The first one was protocol. The second one is this enterprise readiness right from the community itself. The third one is the deployment. 2-3 years back, there were not enough deployment in various different verticals, and the traction was not that great as compared to what it is today after 2-3 years, right? So we see deployment in all different verticals, with or without Aviz, by the way. There is enough data out there that yes, it works, and essentially any customer who is looking to deploy SONiC can actually look at some of the examples in their own vertical and see that how they have deployed it. So things have definitely become I would say 10x to 20x better in each different dimension in SONiC.
Yeah, definitely agree there. We've seen that ourselves in the data. More customers, you mentioned more verticals, kind of it's expanding on every domain out there. To me, it looks like if we look at additional ecosystems on top of SONiC, right, it seems like more is forming there. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yes. So one of the things with the open source, commercialization and productization, if you look at, Red Hat kind of started this whole thing 22 years back. But back then, open source was not that, people didn't know about open source, right? So how they solved it, they created RHEL, which is a proprietary version of open source, and that is how they basically commercialized the whole thing. But in 2024 and 25, open source is essentially a way to go. Any new company which comes in, they first of all look at what all open source is available. They start there, right? And then they go forward from that, right? So making a proprietary version of open source is actually an old way of doing things. But then how do you actually productize the open source while keeping it really open source, right? So that's where this a layer and an ecosystem around that comes in, because customers, they will still look for the experience which they are getting from proprietary solutions, right? And when I say experiences, it's not just about support. It's also about tying it into their NetOps, tying it into their security system, tying it into their tooling, and operating it like a clockwork, right? So this ecosystem, and in your report, Alan, you say it as a controller, in 650 group report. And what I see is that this controllers ecosystem has to be built around if that has to go into the enterprise, because end of the day, customers are looking for a solution, right? While keeping the network operating system source code open, but the solution has to be provided. So the whole operating layer of orchestration, observability, alerts monitoring, network SLA, 24/7 support as a software, then tying into network visibility, right? Tying into security systems. So all of that ecosystem is coming up, and we are leading that formation of that ecosystem from SONiC specific point of view. And I think it will grow. That's where it is heading towards.
Yeah, definitely agree out there. Let's dive into AI. We can't kind of get this far in an interview without talking AI. Let's start with networking for AI.
Yeah.
Kind of what's going on there.
Yeah. So if you see, there are you have NVIDIA Spectrum X. That's the Ethernet of all NVIDIA solution. And then there is a second way wherein you have the GPUs from NVIDIA, and then you have the networking vendors providing the switches for making that particular fabric. I think that they both will coexist. There will never be that everything is Spectrum X, 100% deployments in the world is a Spectrum X. There will never be that 100% of the networks are non-Spectrum X. They both will be there. What I believe that if you are looking for a non-Spectrum X kind of a solution, then the standardization, because if you are putting a non-Spectrum X, let's say you are doing that, right? You are doing that because you want some control, right? I mean, that's why you are doing it, right? So if you are doing that to keep the control, then SONiC is the right way to do it, because SONiC provides you the right level of standardization and gives you the real control actually, because you can actually now put any kind of a network under the hood, even any kind of DPU under the hood because of SONiC Dash and everything, right? So so either Spectrum X or you want to put another network, then SONiC is a right way to go. At least that's what we believe. The problem, however, with customers can say that, hey, how do I operate these two things together? Because in the networks for AI, there will be a backend network, then there will be a front end network, right? Uh, so you need to probably have a single operating layer for the backend and the front end networks. Does not matter you are using Spectrum X or you are using SONiC or you are using maybe some other OEM solution. So that's the problem we are solving, is essentially having our operating layer, the product name is once, integrating with NVIDIA Spectrum X. So it can handle that, either backend or front end, does not matter where you are using those solutions. Or you want to extend your networks with a SONiC based, right? So your operating layer will be same, right? So what I tell to the prospects when I talk to them is that in this world where the infrastructure is changing very fast, right? You need to standardize your operating layer, because today you're going to use 400 gig switch, tomorrow it will be 800, then it will be 1.6 terabytes, right? And this thing not going to stop. I mean, look at NVIDIA. In a year they are doing like the spinning GPUs like at a crazy rate, right? LLMs are coming at crazy rate. So end of the day, the definition of compute will keep on changing, and because of that, network will keep on changing, right? So how do you kind of embrace this continuous changing infrastructure? The way to embrace it is essentially creating a single operating layer, which can embrace this comprehensive choices of vendor and include your own automation on top, right? So whatever ways you want to do it, you have to standardize the operating layer, and under the hood, if you want to standardize non-Spectrum X, then SONiC is we believe is the right way to go, because that actually provides you the choices and the control which customer wants.
Yeah, I think it's important to note, like, both scale up and scale out are going to be a 10 billion plus market in and of themselves for Ethernet.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool if you think about it. It's all greenfield,
yes.
right? Like, while yes, we're incorporating it into existing data centers, that's the greatest part of kind of having a SONiC conversation. It's a natural insertion point because it's greenfield.
That's right. I mean, SONiC provides you the standardization, which allows you to kind of change your infrastructure as it is needed, right? And it basically provides you a way wherein the supply chain issues can be taken care, because it's not choices and control is not just about prices, right? It's also about that if you want to deploy today, you can deploy today. You are not dependent on a single vendor to do that, right? So these are some of the levers which SONiC provides you if you are looking to get the control of the networks, and if you are not doing Spectrum X, then I think the SONiC is the right way of doing it.
Great. So that was a great conversation kind of on networking for AI, the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Let's flip over to AI for networking. Yeah. How is AI helping networking kind of above the actual infrastructure?
Yes. So look, I mean, AI gonna be, is actually already disrupting a lot of different verticals on how the everyday work happens there, right? And typically what we have seen, the AI insertion points start with something which is very, very routine and mundane. That's where the AI insertion points happen. I mean, think of it when Tesla came with their first car. Their first AI function was, the lane assist and the cruise control. Now the cars had that functionality from past 10 years, right? Radar based cruise control and everything was there, but they started proving the technology and getting customer trust by doing the same thing which is already being done, but using AI, right? So the insertion point of the AI would be something where it can be trusted by taking care of this routine and mundane job, not intrusive, but something which sits on the periphery of operations. So that's what we are trying to solve, by putting AI in networks. Things which are required takes a lot of time, and nobody wants to do that. So things like checking that how much percentage of your networks in the compliance, and it could be security compliance, it could be configuration compliance, it could be operation compliance, right? And continuously checking that. Audit reports, the audit reports for the security purposes, right? It's like 100-page document, PDF document, which kind of has to be made in a certain format, and has to have certain evidence attached to it and everything, right? Now generative AI is great at that, generating documents and everything, as long as you put the context right? So I think uh, this AI gonna come in networking as well. It just has to start at the right point. The second thing which this AI has to be good at is essentially being vendor agnostic. Because if you really see that, think of a human network engineer, right? That network engineer has to learn pretty much all the infrastructure, right? It could be Cisco, it could be Arista, it could be Juniper, it could be Palo Alto firewall, Zscaler, load balancer. So he has to learn everything, right? And then he has to learn all the tools which are there. So AI is no different, right? And that's why the vendor agnostic is very important. The AI has to understand that this is Cisco, this is Arista, and this is Juniper, and this is Palo Alto, and here are my tools: ServiceNow, Jira, Zendex, and everything, because this is where the data is, right? So it has to kind of mimic the network engineer, and that's why, like a human network engineer who is vendor agnostic, the AI also has to be vendor agnostic, right? So that's what we are seeing. A lot of use cases which we are making is from that point of view. Then keeping the data on-prem, right? That's another important part, which basically you have to keep the data, so no internet connection required is one of the things which we are looking at. So you train the model, keep it on-prem, because today your data is kept on-prem, right? So these are a few of the elements which we are looking at, and building this AI for the networks for various different use cases.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like tearing down the silos between NetOps, SecOps, and DevOps.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's a data. End of the day, you see, whatever the decision you are making or whatever analysis you are doing, it comes from the data, right? Which essentially the best place to get the data is networks, because that's where all the data comes from and goes through and to and fro. Use that data to essentially train the AI, and then you skin the cat the way you want to skin it, right? Architect may ask a architect kind of questions. The NetOps guys can ask firefighting questions, right? Procurement guys can ask for that, okay, how the network has behaved, because now I'm going to do negotiation with the vendor, so I should know that last time when we bought with some promises, did the promises hold or not, right? So those kind of things are there. So AI is, you skin the cat the way you want to skin it, but the data is what it required to train.
Great. You gave a lot of great examples there. Let's kind of ask the question a little bit differently and talk about Copilot, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talk in the industry about Copilots helping the human. How does that relate here in this conversation?
Yeah, so Network Copilot, this is essentially our product name, but what it is essentially AI assistant, and essentially we believe that there will be, from a couple of years from now, this will become like a normal for pretty much every network engineer to have some sort of a Copilot helping doing their everyday job. Right now, what exactly the use cases it will have, how tightly it will be bound, will it be a cloud based or will it be on-prem? Those kind of things is what we are discovering, working with our customers right now. But the idea, what we think where it will live, is that it will not just be a black box product. It will not be that. It has to be a product which can not only tap into the existing data sources and everything, which of course that's where the AI will get the data, but also can tap into the existing automation, right? So you don't have to kind of say that, okay, here is my AI, now AI will do everything. No, that's not how it's going to work. It will essentially be that, okay, here's my AI, and it is trained enough to know that where to get the data and what workflows to trigger in what condition. And that's where the agentic AI comes into the picture, because you take the data from one point, you do the analysis what you have to do, and then you trigger different kind of agents, right? An agent could be an existing automation, agent could be a workflow, agent could be something as simple as crawl the website, get the data that okay, what all upgrade paths available for me, right? So Network Copilot is essentially designed for that kind of a purpose, to provide the AI network assistant with all the elements of keeping the data private, tapping into various data sources, keeping the community LLM. So essentially tomorrow if a new LLM comes in, the performance of that can be passed on to the customers, right? And then essentially being vendor agnostic, so that it can work with any different infrastructure. So these are some of the things which we are doing with Network Copilot.
Yeah, Copilot has a ton of promise too, because we have a huge staffing shortage.
Yeah.
And then two, right, people don't want to do those mundane tasks, so it allows your employees to kind of move to a more fulfilling role.
Yeah.
And kind of do that. So it's like a win-win for organizations.
That's right. And one of the customers, I just give you one example. One of the customers was telling us that, look, we have around 20, 30 network engineers in our team, and everyone is writing their own Ansible playbook so there is essentially no standard. So one of the things which we want is to just have our engineers follow the standard, right? And basically just train it. So when we say a sample Ansible playbook, it should come out same, right? Of course, the variables, IP addresses, and everything will be different, but the way you design the Python scripts and everything, they want to follow the standard, right? So this is one of the use case which has, by the way, nothing to do with the running your networks and everything. They are just looking the standardization for the automation they are developing, right? So, and I was surprised that, look, I mean, they are actually looking at these kind of use cases as well, which is very interesting on what all use cases can come out of AI. We are still learning that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of exciting. And that's a great segue to the last question here. We're rapidly going through 2025. What kind of excites you for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so I'll answer it again in two different dimensions, because we look at our execution in these two dimensions. One is networks for AI, and another one is AI for networks. So for networks for AI, we'd like to replicate SONiC into various different verticals. Like I said, we look at our prospects in 15 different verticals. So the idea is to basically have enough proof point in each different verticals, right? Again, in a vendor agnostic way, again in a open source community way. Right, so that's one. Then essentially have the Spectrum X deployment, NVIDIA Spectrum X deployment, and with that the front end network with SONiC, right? So that's essentially on the networks for AI side. We do have recipe. Now is the point to replicate it better, right? From the AI for networks point of view, we are looking to essentially make sure that we have enough deployments again in various different verticals, which kind of solidify the use cases for what is a AI assistant for networks looks like, right? And yes, we do have customers, they are deploying it, but you need to have enough repeatability that actually tells you that how AI will come and get deployed into the networking world. So we are on the quest of that. While we have deployed at multiple places, but we need to find out the repeatability in at least 10 to 20 different use cases. So essentially that becomes a way on how you deploy AI and what it is good for, right? So in 2025, of course, SONiC in multiple verticals, and basically find the repeatability with 10, 20 use cases across multiple customers for some good use cases, which can actually define this market.
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. Well, Vishal, always a pleasure talking to you. So thank you so much for spending the time with me today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much for your time.